Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a special review for you today. I'm going to be talking about Suck It Up, Old Man, brought to you from Aggressive Relaxing. He is a community member, a YouTuber, just like I am, a content creator. I don't know what you want to call him, but last night I found out that this guy made a comic, and the story behind why he made the comic is actually kind of fascinating. He basically wanted to, he had been looking on Kickstarter, and seeing different books and how much the actual quota to get that book going was, and kind of being upset and disturbed at how much some of these books were asking for. He decided to make his own comic and prove to people that it didn't really cost that much to make a very indie comic. After hearing the premise or not even the premise, all I knew was the title, and it was about a vacuum. And after that, I was kind of sold. Originally I thought it was, because based on the title, "Suck It Up, Old Man," I thought it was based on a vacuum cleaner and an old man. It's a little different than that, so we'll get into it. And after all this, I'll give you my final thoughts and a little more. So our story starts out as shown here, just a regular old house, and it's about an old vacuum with a very thin cord. Next up, the book shows us what the vacuum's responsibilities are, and what he's supposed to be cleaning, that kind of thing. Next up, they show that after he's done cleaning, he's put into a utility closet, and then the next day he is taken out. After he's taken out, he is met with a new friend, and it's shown that the owner had picked up a Roomba. Both vacuum cleaners are surprised to meet each other. They didn't know they both existed. There's I don't know, some funny comments from both of the vacuum cleaners. Hey, that thing looks stupid. That thing looks weird. There's also something that's mentioned from the owner, shown here, but it's basically ever since he got the Roomba, he has stopped using the older vacuum. Now shown on this page right here, it's stated that the owner is selling the house and needs to get the vacuuming done. Normally he just, I guess, uses the Roomba, but he has to do a more detailed cleaning, and that's kind of where the book starts to get a little more interesting. They kind of go over why he has kept the older vacuum, because if the Roomba was so good, why didn't he just throw it away, kind of thing. But it's really due to the older vacuum being able to do a deep clean kind of thing. At this point in the book, as you can see, it's shown that it's this whole the owner of the house does this whole comparison competition style YouTube video, and most of what pops up in the video is comparisons between the two vacuums. As shown here, it's the older vacuum can clean the stairs. It's also stated that they don't have stairs in the house. Almost everything comparatively in the book, he's oh yeah, well, I have this cool app that comes, and the older vacuum's well, the owner didn't even set up the app, kind of thing. As shown right here, it's the older vacuum is great for picking up pet hairs. The Roomba mentions that they don't have a pet. But eventually, it's there's pros and cons to both vacuums, and of course there would be. And at this time, there is no perfect vacuum, there is some side note stuff as shown at the bottom, but how the vacuums felt humiliated that they had to be compared. On this page right here, we see that the new Roomba hasn't been out to the garage where they're stored. It's his first night in the garage, and it's kind of a man, you don't want to be in the garage, you don't know what's up with the garage kind of thing. The next panel shown right here is more of a It honestly reminds me of new owners of anything. Like once you get something new for a while, you take care of it. You keep up with the maintenance, and then over time, you kind of stop doing that. And that's kind of what's shown in this, this panel right here. Next up, we have some funny moments. Like in this page, we have and I think everybody thinks of this when they think of a Roomba, but putting a speaker or, like a musical device, so as the Roomba moves around the room and cleans, it's playing music. Next up, we do see that they do have a cat, and I was literally just talking about this concept the other day because I myself have a cat. I don't really have in the hotel where I stay, it's not big enough for a Roomba, but it would be cool to see the cat riding on the Roomba. But there was a cat in the house. Eventually in the story, as we see the maybe overusing the older vacuum, it eventually starts to squeal. Of course, probably the belt broke. The guy throws it in the closet, as shown here. The Roomba accuses the owner of like manhandling the vacuum kind of thing. There's a phrase like where the owner's sister knows a guy kind of thing. In this panel right here, it's kind of the sum up of like what it takes to fix an older vacuum, because the guy had to travel, take it to this vacuum cleaner, maintenance place, have it fixed, and like supposedly I think that it as shown they didn't have the belt to fix them, so it was just he was just taken back. Right here in this panel, like as mentioned in the beginning of the comics, the guy was selling the house, and as we're seeing as the comic progresses, the vacuums are starting to notice that the furniture is slowly disappearing kind of thing. Here's also this panel right here where it's kind of like the vacuum see it as a kind of end of the world type thing. All their furniture is disappearing. It's like everything they know is just vacuum around the furniture, but the furniture is not there anymore. This page right here is just kind of like, well, what's the end of the world? And it's like the older vacuum explaining what happens to all vacuums. Well, I mean, while they're in service, they clean our floors, and eventually once they break down, they end up on the trash pile, kind of thing. This page right here, it shows how the vacuum, both vacuums are finally like working together, and they're trying to not, make it to the end of the world. They're trying to do a good job. It kind of shows, as you can see, all the squiggly lines kind of thing, where the vacuums were trying to, get all the carpet. This panel right here, eventually, due to the the owner moving out of the house, finally either selling it or it's time to move out before they sell it. The owner was contemplating on keeping the older vacuum, and eventually he decides to throw it away. Supposedly the Roomba and the just the Roomba comes up with a plan to keep both vacuums together regardless of their fate, kind of like a sacrifice, sacrificial type of moment. But the Roomba, it ends up like, as you can see, he rolls over his cord and gets it all stuck up. In the next panel, the next page, it just shows the owner, coming back to the house, finding the vacuums all tangled up, and of course, what most owners would do at this point is just chunk both of them, kind of thing. They're getting a new house, they can afford a new vacuum. And that's kind of our story. Right here, they do show one of my favorite panels of the comic, but it's aggressive, relaxive, and he basically, as you can see, he took all these little Google, and I'll try and zoom it in as close as I can, like, but he put these little googly eyes on all the vacuums, like through, over time, that kind of thing. But that is it. That is the whole comic. In a nutshell, as I went through it with you, but my thoughts and everything, yes, it is a very indie comic, but honestly I loved it. The art, the story, the whole comparisons between, because it is a valid conversation between just regular vacuums. There were some parts that I really liked, and kind of real world stuff about how both vacuums saw each other as weird and, you know, and different, but by the end of the book they were already working together, and you know, setting those things aside so they didn't have to meet the end of the world kind of thing. No, I really loved it. You know, aggressive, relaxing, and I'm saying this and as open and honest as I can, but he wants me to crap all over this comic, and honestly, there's not a whole lot to crap on. It's well put together. It's a solid story. The art isn't the best. Haha, that's where you can glib me, but you know, it's not horrible either. You know, I mean, I've seen way. You know, there's no such thing as bad art, but I've seen way worse art than this. And honestly, I loved like the little faces on the vacuum, and I like the art. I thought it was great. But you talk about a story. If I had to explain to my brother, hey, you know what this comic was about? It was about the story of two vacuums. You know, like, I mean, how much more story could go into it? And I thought this was pretty good. You know, the whole owner doing the YouTube thing, the comparison. It's kind of real world stuff. But hey, that is my review. Hopefully I can piece this together. One of the reasons I wanted to do this review, because hopefully if this works out right, this will be my most edited video yet. I'm kind of playing around with that, so hopefully I can get everything to show up, and you know, but if I can't, I don't know. I don't know. But hey, that's my review. His whole comic is on his Instagram page. You can go there and check it out for free. Yeah, I want to say he does have physical copies, but the way it was explained is he only has 4 left in existence. All the other comics have been either sold or passed out. I love the story, and I didn't mention this before, but the whole Kickstarter behind this comic, I think, was exactly $23 or something like that. It was exactly a plate of fried chicken and a drink that went with that from a fancy restaurant or something like that, and that's all it took to crowdfund this book, which it was a pretty fantastic story if you ask me. But hey, that's my review. The links are all in the descriptions down below. Please check out this book. It was fantastic. Let me know down below. Did you already read it? You know, I mean, it has been out for a year, and I just found out about it. I've been friends with Aggressive for I don't know how long, 2 years now, right? But hey, that's all I got for you. Let me know down below your thoughts. What you think about it? What you think about the art? What do you think about this whole video, my whole editing process, that kind of thing? Alright guys,